So I've been working as an indie developer now for 2 years, and pretty weird first job I had. Our game just came out, which is right here, uh, and I worked for Grumps for my first ever actual industry job, which was pretty wild. Being a Newgrounds kid, um, loving Ego Raptors animations growing up, and then working for them on a game was pretty wild. So I thought I'd just tell a quick story about how that happened, and then kind of use this as an opportunity to talk a little bit about career advice for people who are maybe thinking about trying to break into games. So yeah, let's talk about it. So obviously, like anyone interested in getting into games, I played a bunch as a kid, right? Decide kind of screw it. I don't really know exactly what I'm going to do. I'm really into music coming out of high school, but I'm also on my computer all the time, playing PC games and stuff. So I was like, yeah, whatever. I'll get a computer science degree. Go to San Francisco State, get a computer science degree, graduate. Not really sure if I want to do games, essentially. A note for anyone who's going to do a computer science degree or is currently in a computer science degree, if your goal is to go into game development, you're going to find that most universities are going to kind of railroad you into a web development job. This is just where most of the jobs are in tech, and the easy, I wouldn't say easy necessarily, but the very high paying, good work-life balance jobs are all going to be in web development. And typically, if you don't have web development at a university program, people are going to complain because they're going to be like, well, how do I make $100,000 a year downloading NPM packages? No slander to web developers, except for some of you. So yeah, I'm teaching at an after-school program for about, I want to say like 3 or 4 years at that point. And I'd been interested in getting into games, but I didn't really have any real huge motivation to jump into it. I struggled to kind of like find people to look up to. When I was into music, I would always have, one musician or something that I was super looking up to and wanted to emulate. So it was difficult for me for a little while because I struggled to find someone to kind of identify with in games. I think the first person that I really looked up to was Todd Howard, but he was just this kind of, it's hard to look up to someone who's like a game director because it's difficult to know, like, well, what do they actually do at work? When you're in a lead role at a company, you end up not really tangibly working on the game too much. You're more directing other people's labor. So that's kind of like this unattainable, like, I'll never be a game director kind of dream. And then I found Lucas Pope's work, who made Papers, Please, Return of the Obra Dinn. I got into, just kind of the whole idea of the solo dev. Really inspired me a lot and kind of was the thing that ended up galvanizing me to actually get into games. So hearing about one person making this amazing game was just this concept to me that was like, that's impossible. But you look around, Eric Barone, who made Stardew Valley, solo dev. Toby Fox had a lot of people helping with the art, very much so, pretty dang close to a solo dev. Lucas Pope, the list goes on, right? So I said, okay, well, maybe I'll be a solo dev, maybe this is perfect for me actually, because I'm interested in art and music and programming and design, so I can just be everything, right? So the issue was I had no idea how to actually make games, right? So because I was teaching at the time, I decided kind of, I could just stay one lesson ahead of a student, like a middle schooler or a high schooler, and I already know how to program, more or less. I didn't really know how to program back then. I was terrible. But yeah, I could stay one lesson ahead, teach them what I learned that week about Unity, and then I can more or less get paid to learn the Unity, right? Easy. It wasn't easy. It was a lot of struggling, a lot of extra work, right? But it ended up working out. And what I ended up finding was that teaching ended up being the best way for me to get good at anything really fast, really. So within a year, I had become pretty proficient with Unity by just kind of helping students with their projects. And what I kind of realized at the time was that sharing the kind of like creative load with someone else and sharing kind of the technical problems, just having someone to talk through something with helps so much when you're trying to learn how to actually get into anything really, whether it be music, whether it be art, whether it be games. And it kind of broke my conception about what like a genius is per se. I'm gonna play a quick Brian Eno clip, who, if you don't know who Brian Eno is, shame on you. Leave, go look up some Brian Eno videos, and then come back here and watch my my crap. Cut that. Cut that. Beep, beep, boop, bop, beep, 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 boop, bop, beep, beep, boop. Okay. We'll find a place to cut this in. But, when can I cut that in? I'll talk about teaching students. So I thought, well, what if I just stay one lesson ahead of a student, basically? And I teach myself Unity, and then I kind of go over what I learned that week with Unity with the student, and then we kind of, are both learning at the same time. And this ended up working really good, and it kind of taught me a little bit of a hack with trying to get good at anything that you view as kind of an art form or, even a craft, essentially, is that for those of you who can't teach or, aren't going to have a, sweet setup like I did to get paid learning something like that, I think that really what helped is having a community of people to share the interest and share the art with is really what helps. Like, my students became my kind of community where they would ask me questions, I would figure out stuff with them, they would show me things that they learned, we would feed off of one another. Brian Eno has an interesting clip in an interview, which I'm going to play right now, where he basically kind of talks about how the concept of like a genius, someone who's very, very, very good at an art form, is really a product of a community of people.
Being an artist, you hear a lot of talk about genius, which is the process of singling out certain people in art history and saying those were the important ones, Picasso, Rembrandt, Shostakovich, whatever. Whenever you look at any of those artists, you find that they lived and drew from a very, very active, flourishing cultural scene. And they were only one of the elements in that scene. All these people who are called genius actually sat in the middle of something that I call scenius, S-C-E-N-I-U-S. So just as genius is the creative intelligence of an individual, scenius is the creative intelligence of a community. And what I want to see is more attention given to that possibility of creative behavior. So what that means, of course, is two things. One of them is the understanding that all people are born unequal, so everybody has a particular and unique set of gifts and talents, whatever they are. And secondly, that intelligence is generated by communities.
Later on, I would go to find some communities of people who shared interests with me. Friends who were interested in game development, friends who were interested in writing, friends who were interested in 3D art. I found some Discord communities that were pretty cool for doing games that I was interested in. And overall, that really helped me kind of provide myself a group of people that I could kind of learn with, essentially. Kind of a collaborative effort towards improving each other and just having fun. So what I decided to start doing was a bunch of game jams with friends who were all kind of tangentially interested in games as well. So for a while, I did one game jam for 1 week, a week off, and then another week on. So I would make 2 games every month, basically. And I did that for 6 months and made 12 games. And it was extremely grueling. I would not do it again, but I found through that game jams are a magnificent way to build your portfolio. They force you to finish something because you only have like a week or something to actually build the game. It forces you to scope down, so you're actually going to finish what you're working on instead of having an unfinished prototype. And you actively get feedback on the project because it's basically a free way to get people to actually download, play your game, and give critical analysis in it in the rating phase. So if you're kind of stuck, you know generally how to make games a little bit, but you're struggling to build a portfolio or you don't really know how to get that first game out, game jams are amazing, and I cannot recommend them more to people who are amateurs or hobbyists as a really good confined way to make a project and have something finished to be proud of. So I had some games. I had some experience at this point. The question now was kind of like, okay, well, how do I get that first job? So I started off applying to big studios, and I had applied to Ubisoft, I had applied to EA, I had applied to Rockstar, I had applied to a bunch of other places, anywhere I could really find in San Francisco. And I was kind of turned off because of the application process at those places. For example, I didn't hear back on my Ubisoft application until 2 years later. It took them 2 years to send me a rejection email that I didn't even get an interview. They're huge companies, and you're a cog at the end of the day. It's great experience. I've never worked in AAA, so I can really only speculate. I have friends who work in AAA, though, and it's a very different experience than what I've gone through working in the indie scene. So if you want a good work-life balance and you want to get experience and you're needing guidance, AAA can be a really good option, especially if you have a really good personal portfolio. It's a little more difficult if you want to be more involved in the creative process of the game rather than in the production process. So I decided I'm going to start applying for indie things. I found a really good website, which I'm going to link right here, Work with Indies, and basically it's just a job board. There's plenty of these. Gama Sutra is called something else now. I think it's called gamedeveloper.com. I'll link that as well. But these are both basically job boards for people who are hiring. Most of these positions are remote, which my work for Game Grumps was, which was very nice. I was able to basically just work in this office you see me in now whenever I kind of needed to, which was, I had a pretty standard schedule, but being able to, not have to commute somewhere was certainly really nice. And I think that the work from home setup for games is a really nice fit, especially if you're someone who's self-directed. If you want a physical office space, though, you're going to have to probably go for AAA. So I was looking on Work with Indies, and I was applying to literally everything I could. You're going to find, and this is the really annoying part of applying for jobs in the games industry, is that there's this one qualification you're going to see on every job application, which is you must have shipped a game. This is the most discouraging sentence you can possibly read if you're trying to break into the industry. And it's kind of a lie, I'm going to say. If you see this on an application and you haven't shipped a game, still apply. Please, still apply. No matter what it says. If it says 8 years experience and you have 3, apply. The worst thing they're going to say is they're going to say nope, and you'll get filtered out of the interview process. Or you get an interview, they found out you're super dope, and you get the job, right? So if you have an application, though, and you have nothing on your portfolio, you have no internships, you have no references, right? You're never going to get past, though, right? So that is what having the scene for references and networking, having the game jams for the portfolio is really going to help you get in the door into the interview process. And hopefully, if you've been hanging out with people and talking about games, an interview is nothing. You've already been hanging out with your community, you've been talking, you've been sharing ideas. Interview should be nothing. Should be a walk in the park at that point, right? So I had been there, I sat down for the interview. We really got along, me and the lead programmer and the game director. It was funny because it was actually not listed as Game Grumps on Work with Indies. It was listed as another company called Grubsoft, which I was just like, okay, whatever. I don't know who this is. They have no games, no website. I'll just apply. Why not? And then in the interview, they're like, oh yeah, this is actually funded by Game Grumps. And then I was like, whoa, oh my gosh, I'm going to work for Aaron Hansen. Yeah, pretty wild that for a year of my life, my checks were funded by a YouTube Let's Play channel. It's really sinking in now. Anyways, I got hired as a junior developer, which means I was paid a little bit less, which is fine. My first job. I get trained a little bit, which is nice. I was supposed to only work on the game for about 3 months. Year and a half later, here I am. And I was embedded more into the core development process than initially planned because I kind of was able to rise to the occasion. Overall, it was great. It was such a formative project for me. I learned so much working with this team, and honestly, the people I was working with were so great. I just have nothing but love for all the people at Game Grumps for, helping facilitate Homebody and the team and just being super responsive and letting us do what we needed to do and make a really, really cool game. So TLDR, you need to start off by finding a community to embed yourself in and to learn with. Next, you got to start doing game jams. You need to get some games under your belt. It's really, really important. Once you have those 2 things done and you start to feel like you're competent, apply everywhere. Apply literally anywhere you can. that you think you'd be a fit. Don't apply for senior positions. Don't annoy the hiring staff too much at these small studios. But if you think that you could do the job and not get fired after a week, you should apply. So yeah, hopefully this was helpful for anyone who's looking to get into games as an industry. If you have any questions, feel free to ask in the comments, and I'm happy to answer any of them. I would love to do another video talking more about the homebody development process and kind of some of the problems and creative solutions we came up to those problems along the development cycle. And I'm obviously going to be doing more Godot content in the future too. So thanks for tuning in. Hope this was slightly interesting, and if anything, a little bit inspiring to you. And see you around.